Welcome back to a professional match of StarCraft 2. Now, what I've got for you today is a very special best-of-3 series. It doesn't really happen at the professional level that pro gamers decide to switch race mid-tournament. What I've got for you today is a best-of-3, where in game number 1 we find ourselves on Jagannatha, and playing here with the blue Protoss probes in the top right-hand corner of the map, we have one of the highest-ranked Zerg players on the planet, and her name is Scarlett. For some reason, in this series, she decided to play Protoss. I have no idea why. It happened a couple of weeks ago during DreamHack Summer North America during the group stage. Maybe she just didn't feel like playing a Zerg versus Zerg, or maybe she didn't want to play a Zerg versus Zerg against her opponent specifically this time around, or maybe she just felt like playing a little bit of Protoss. I'm not sure exactly as to why, but I'm excited to find out exactly what goes down right here in these couple of games. So her opponent, playing here with the red Zerg drones in the bottom left-hand corner of the map from Sweden, he goes by the name of Namshar. I've covered Namshar a couple of times on the YouTube channel before. A cute little move actually right there, hiding the drone on the high ground to make sure that the Protoss did not respond in time to block the expansion. But I've casted a couple of his games before in the past, maybe not as often as some of these other Zerg players. I mean, he's a European Zerg player, right? And as I've said many times before, it's difficult to make a name for yourself in StarCraft 2 in general, but especially if you're a Zerg player from Europe, because, I mean, there's Serral, there's Raynor, there's Lambo, there's Elaser. There's a whole bunch of really good Zerg players, and Namshar, I would say, is just below that skill level. Now, like I said, you didn't mishear it. This is from DreamHack Summer North America. The reason why Namshar is participating in this particular event is because I believe he moved to Canada like a year or so ago. Anyways. If you have a very good memory, you may recall that Scarlett did this exact same thing back in 2015. I want to say during an MLG event, although I'm not entirely sure. Basically, the tournament rules at the time allowed her to just pick whatever race she wanted for that particular series. And she then notoriously went on ahead and defeated DRG, playing her off race. And DRG at the time was one of the highest ranked Zerg players on the planet. So, if I can make a prediction for this series, right? So I haven't seen these games yet, but I can imagine if I was Scarlett here, right? I would be playing the most abusive style and the most frustrating thing that Protoss players can do, right? So obviously she plays a lot of Zerg versus Protoss. She knows what Zerg players do not want to be facing in this particular matchup. And if I can make a prediction, I'm going to come out and say that it's Skytles. I'm going to think here, or I'm going to make the assumption here, it's going to be Skytles, so that she's going to be rushing out a couple of those flying units. I would not be surprised at all. Although, okay, I'm wrong. She opens up right here with a Twilight Council. Now, this is a best-of-3 series. The thing is, right, does she really have multiple build orders for her off races? Could be. As a matter of fact, actually, most of the pro gamers are very good at playing all 3 races. Every once in a while, I get the question, Loko, who's the best random player in the world? It's probably Serral or Clem or, you know, Raynor or whoever feels like playing that particular moment. I know that Clem actually at this point in time is quite notorious for being ridiculously good with Protoss as well. So Clem obviously, I mean, the highest ranked Terran player on the planet right now on a Liga Lek at the very least. Clem has apparently got ridiculous Protoss skills as well, to the point where he was literally higher MMR than some of the Protoss pro gamers from Europe, right? So his off race was, it's nuts. Some of these kids are really good. Ooh, okay, so Scarlett is going straight. Was that a fake? Was that a misclick? I'm not 100% sure. She decided to start up at the very least the +1 upgrade. Now, Zerglings do bite their way through the wall here. I don't think it's really going to be too effective, though. Ooh, okay. One Zergling gets in, but it won't be able to run up the ramp. It's going to be a Glaives opener right here from Scarlett. So she started up the +1 flyer upgrade, and she actually does start it up once again after the Zerglings are gone. So normally you do not open up Glaives and then transition towards Skytles. That being said, it's only 3 gateways right now. I'm pretty sure she does need a 3rd base very soon, though, if she wants to make a transition towards Skytles. There's really no other reason as to why you would get that +1 flyer attacks. This is a funky start. So this is one of those very low commitment pushes for Protoss, right? It's only 3 gateways. It's really only a handful of adepts, but you do have to respect it. And Zerglings alone are not really going to cut it. At this point, Namshar should realize, yeah, wait a second. Those have glaives, so their attack speed is a lot higher. Double Stargate as a follow-up, and I guess a third Nexus right now as well. This is exactly what I mean. This is one of those builds that would just insta-die to a regular Roach push in the earlier stages of the game. But Namshar has decided to open up this this particular game very macro-focused. I mean, what I'm trying to say is if this would have been Bly playing, he would have already had I don't know, a Hatchery over here or a Nidus Worm or whatever, and this Protoss player would just roll over. Namshar is taking the macro approach, which should be good, but Scarlett is cutting about 17 corners so far in in the beginning of this series. If she can shade in and actually kill a couple drones, that would be fantastic. Okay, misclick there. It's a lot of roaches forced out, though. She's actually ahead right now when it comes to the worker count as well, though not for long. With 16 additional drones coming up. Oh, hello. Roaches. 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 You blink twice and the mineral line is gone, dude. Yeah. Alright. So, big picture, what exactly did Scarlett lose? 8 adepts. She killed a bunch of Zerglings. She killed a bunch of drones. And most importantly, she lived past the early game. So a very greedy third Nexus with this sort of opener. Double Stargate transition. +1 air weapons is finishing up. This is kind of what I anticipated, okay? So we never see... So here's the thing. Zerg players are very fond right now of going for queen-based pushes in this matchup. But we never see players switching this quickly into Stargate units after opening up with Adepts. The transition from Adepts is pretty much always going to be Immortals and Charge and Blink and all that. Look at that though, Scarlett has already got the Fleet Beacon. She's chrono boosting out the Flux Veins upgrade. That's a speed boost for those Void Rays. This is normally a vulnerable time here for the Protoss player. Right? Because like, what does she really have? 4 Void Rays and a shield battery at home. That's really not that much if a couple queens decide to get aggressive. But Namshar is, you know, he's a conventional macro Zerg. He's an honorable macro Zerg. He doesn't really, play too funky. So at this point, the Stargates are finally spotted. The, oh my god, the third Stargate is even coming up right now as well. The Zerg player is still being run around though, over on their side of the map. It should still be a pretty good position, though, for Namshar, all things considered. But he's definitely going to have to start pumping out the workers. You need quite a bit more than what he's got right now. Okay, good interception right here by the queens. 4th Nexus comes up in the top left-hand corner. Yeah, this is one of those things where Scarlett knows very well how a Zerg feels in this scenario. And she's completely tricking her opponent in these first couple of minutes of the match. I don't think this is a particularly great Protoss opener, but it makes a lot of sense given the context. So Void Rays obviously deal a ton of damage, right? Hello, Brenda. Okay, good. Void Rays deal a ton of damage. They're very fast as well. So they can cycle around the bases relatively easily. Wouldn't be surprised if they're gonna try and poke and prod maybe over at the newly acquired 5th or once again at the main base. That being said, at home right now, we have triple carrier as a follow-up. They're already going to have their +2 flyer attacks as well, which is fantastic. So indeed a council right there on that base. Oh, council again. Yeah, this is looking real good. So this is actually what I kind of expected. The route she took here was a little bit differently, because she didn't open up with a Stargate. I think that's primarily to just deflect any of those queen pushes right from the get-go, because Zerg isn't going to go for a queen push against this sort of thing. And now all of a sudden, we've got a late-game Protoss army coming up, and not really a whole lot that the Zerg player can do about it. I mean, Namshar's going to try. This is a funky push. We have a couple... Wait, it's a Queen Hydra push? Normally we see Queen Roach Ravager Ling. A Queen Hydra push with a couple of leftover roaches from that Adept shenanigans earlier. You know what? I don't actually mind it, but look at what Scarlett is doing. She's already building up a ton of static defense over here. The fact that these units have +2 flyer attacks is huge. This could be the Stasis Ward of Dreams. Oh god. Very annoying right here. That gives a bunch of time right now for static defense to finish up potentially as well. Apparently though, Namshar doesn't want to wait for it. I don't know if there's actually enough Zerg here. That's still a lot of Hydras. Yeah, those queens don't mess around either. Battery overcharge cannot reach this shield battery over here. Roaches are being picked off. Do we have charge? No, we do not have charge. 3 more carriers are just about to pop. Obviously, carriers don't only spawn with a handful of interceptors. And you know what? I was a little doubtful of this push, but this is looking much better right now for Namshar. This is, I think, the way that Namshar should be playing this series. Very aggressively, very stern. But, like, don't just let the Protoss player do whatever they like. Because you can see that these pushes are very effective. Although, I say very effective, and so far the heavy hitters from Protoss haven't really gone down. I mean, the interceptors are gone, right? So I think with reinforcements showing up, this should be quite good. But that's so many photon cannons. I think making a turn right here and going to the natural is way better than... No, don't fight that. I mean, there's one pylon powering the Zol. I don't know about fighting these photon cannons, actually. I think going into the natural right there would have been the correct choice. Yeah. We still have Adepts with Glaives, right? So Adepts actually deal bonus damage against light. Zerglings and Hydras most notably are light. So these Hydras actually take quite a lot of damage. Normally charge would be really quite good here, but if you have the leftover resources and you can warp in a couple Adepts against pure Hydra armies, it's not so bad. Scarlett hasn't done, Namshar hasn't done enough damage. I look at the Zerg player and I think it's Scarlett. He hasn't done enough damage so far. Okay, this is something, but these Hydras are also kind of stuck. Okay, well, that's good. Yeah, I think that's really good. Okay, a couple of the units get target fired down as well. I don't think a carrier... Ooh, really? Okay. Carrier ends up getting killed too. These hit like trucks. So, +3 flyer attacks is coming up. What you gotta keep in mind is that every single interceptor, so every carrier carries 8, they all get benefits from those air weapons, right? So they all get +3 damage. By default, I think they deal like 5 damage. Oh, don't quote me on that. They're gonna deal substantially more damage. So these carriers actually are incredibly powerful. You know what? Queens, Hydra, Spore Crawlers would be good, but I wouldn't even mind seeing a couple of Infestors here into the mix. Just for Microbial Shroud. And I mean that unironically. Microbial Shroud is... surprisingly good. Okay, here we go. Are there enough carriers right now to break through this Zerg army? Carriers... I mean, the Hydras are target fire down the interceptors, right? Okay, she's gonna settle on killing the Hatch instead, which I think makes sense. Guaranteed damage is usually better than trying to take the risk. Top left-hand base once again has been acquired. That's a lot of carriers, and right now we have the next part of the plan as well. High Templar with Storm. This is a disgusting build. This is one way, I guess, to ensure against a honorable macro Zerg at the very least. That they're not, you know, gonna be able to go for a queen push. This would have been shut down if the queen push was a little bit earlier. But, yeah, Namshar was blindsided there for a little bit. I genuinely think Microbial Shroud is pretty good here. Yeah, Microbial Shroud, unironically, pretty good. Now, the recall did happen. Scarlett's gonna be maxed out pretty soon, though. How many High Templar are we at? Only 4. 4 is pretty good, though. It's a good start. Maybe you want to get 6. 4 is pretty good. I mean, the Storm is most important, right? Okay. So what exactly does Namshar have going for him at this point? Well, he's getting +2 Carapace as well, which I like a lot. Hive is just finished up. It's gonna be Vipers instead. Viper's obviously fantastic if High Templar weren't a thing, but besides Psionic Storm, they also have feedback. Okay, it's gonna be Hydra, Lurker, Viper. Lurker then is very late. I guess it's an expensive structure. You probably wanted to max out first. Okay. There's one Storm. There's only like 4 Storms available, though. There's really not that many. Spore Crawlers here also super helpful. Okay, that's the second Storm. It's just mass carrier. Like, the interceptor count is dwindling. Good splits once again, though, by Namshar. Oh, gets a couple of High Templar. Okay, nice. Very nice by Namshar. Get the rest. Okay, so we have seen a ton of interceptors going down. Those interceptors take a long time to rebuild. I think there's only like 1 Storm available in this Protoss army, so I think that may have been it. Although, This guy's almost got enough. Queens are available now, too. That being said, I mean, it's these... It's just interceptors, man. Oh, this is such a risky fight, though, because if Namshar waits right now and the interceptor count comes back up, it's very difficult to actually get into a position where you can punish the Protoss player, right? And I'm looking at the supply count right now. That's not really the situation that a Zerg player wants to be in. So 77 workers, 72 for Protoss. However, Namshar is no longer maxed out, whereas Scarlett is. I think pre-Storm, so like before the High Templar transition, Microbial Shroud is ridiculously good. Like, no joke. I know every time I bring up Microbial Shroud, people think I'm joking because I've called it the worst ability in the game, and it probably is for a long time. But it's surprisingly effective. I mean, what are Lurkers gonna do right now? Zone the High Templar, maybe? Well, they're not really doing that great a job of that either. They're expensive, and they don't shoot up. Oh my god, Scarlett, did she just... This is one of the dirtiest games of Protoss I've seen in a while. I think she's about to win game number 1 here. Yeah, there's just not enough firepower, man. There's just not enough for Zerg to kill this. Parasitic bombs and stuff are nice. Abductions are nice. Well, these are really nice abductions, actually. It's just that I don't think Zerg can beat this in a straight-up fight. Yeah, GG is called, and Scarlett wins game number 1. Okay, game number 2, we find ourselves on Oxide. Now, I've seen Scarlett play a handful of games with Protoss, and it seems to me that indeed she's playing whatever she thinks is most abusive at that particular point in the meta. So I remember in that series against DRG, she would go heavy 2-base aggression, if I'm not mistaken. So she went very heavy on the charge lot all-ins. And basically it seems to me like she's playing units that don't really require that much micro either. So relatively low maintenance type of armies. Very Zerg armies in a way, you know? Because Zerg armies in general don't really require that much control either. If you go for a more sophisticated Protoss force, right? Like, for example, one that's based around prisms and disruptors and force fields and all that, it's very difficult to micro correctly because one little misstep and you just straight up lose the game. That unit composition that Scarlett just now played, I mean, the Adepts obviously have the decision making of, do I want to finish the Shade or not, right? And you have to like target fire drones and stuff. But the Carriers and the Storm, even my mom could micro that, right? You know, not to roast anyone that's playing that maxed out Skytle's army, because I actually do believe that the ultimate Protoss army is incredibly difficult to micro. If you add in like a mothership, she faking a cannon rush? Wow. Yeah, if you like add in like Tempest and Oracles and motherships and High Templar or Disruptors and Prisms, that unit composition, that super ultra late game composition for Protoss is incredibly hard to control. But Scarlett is not really aiming for that, I don't think. I'm pretty sure she's just trying to do something funky. So, real quick, just to explain why that previous game was a little bit weird for Protoss in the first place, right? So, broadly speaking, Protoss has 3 different ways in which they open up. Either they open up Twilight, they open up Stargate, or they open up Robo. And Zerg responds to all of those a little bit differently. Now, if you want to be safe as someone who opens up Twilight Council, either you commit to like, you know, 8 gateways or so, and you just make a ton of adepts and just shade them all around and you hope that that wins you the game, right? Or you transition towards a robotics facility and then get yourself some immortals out so you can actually deal with the Zerg counterattack. Because usually what happens is Zerg players will make non-stop units against the adepts, they will make roaches and Zerglings, and then they will counterattack. What Scarlett did in that previous game was go Twilight Council and then straight into double Stargate. That is one of the most unsafe ways of getting a 3rd base in the game, but because of the way that Namshar was playing, it didn't get punished, right? Now in this particular game, she's going straight into a Stargate. That's very common. And I wouldn't be surprised if she once again wants to settle on the Stargate army. But yeah, basically what I'm trying to say is that game number 1, very vulnerable start. Very risky beginning for the Protoss player. And because of that, she got into the mid game in a pretty excellent spot. But I think that's a good strategy to play in a tournament. Maybe not so much on the ladder, though, because I feel like a lot of Zerg players are going to punish you. She's playing very much so to Namshar's image here. Ooh, nice little bit of control right there by Namshar. It's going to be a Void Ray first. Actually, Namshar losing this series would be really rough for him, right? Like, losing against a highly ranked player is, you know, there's nothing wrong about that. There's nothing embarrassing about that. But losing against, like, a colleague who's playing their off-race... that would tilt me at the very least. Alright. So, we have... Ooh, Void Ray going straight across the map. So no Overlord hunting. Interesting. Normally we see this this Void Ray being used as leverage to grab a... Yeah, okay, grab a third. There's not even anything at the third right now, though, for Zerg. Normally we see the Overlord helping out with this. I think this is just a little bit of Overlord snipe. Or sorry, the Void Ray helping out with this. I think this is just a little bit of Overlord sniping right now. Okay, so this should be a game where Namshar is feeling very comfortable. Because this is literally like 90% of your ladder games. So far, there's nothing out of the ordinary here for our Protoss player. It's very much so up to the Zerg to figure out exactly what's going on. Good timing right there on the Spore Crawlers. Good queen positioning. How many queens are we on right now? 5, okay. He goes for the lair. So 430 lair. That is the indication of a more macro-focused style. So I'm personally a fan of the queen-based pushes. I think they're very good. But you can definitely also go for the alternative. I think on this map especially, if you go for a queen push, I found a lot of success myself, at least. Now, obviously, these players are a little bit better than me. So maybe they've got a bit of a different approach. Handful of adepts make their way towards the third base. Okay, 4 workers. Yeah, 4 workers for 2 adepts is actually not worth it. Okay, so this time around, it is a robo transition as well. And then now, Twilight count. Okay, so this is like, this is just full macro right here from Scarlett. It's gonna be +1 melee here for Namshar, as well as a Hydrodan, as well as a Baneling's Nest. Okay. So Namshar is going for what seems to be a bit more of an old school style. This is something that was very popular before they nerfed the Banelings twice. These days, Banelings are kind of shaky against Protoss, but they still definitely have their place. Once again, by the way, cutting another corner here. There's no... There's no shield battery there at all. 4th base, though, comes up, and Namshar is just going to play the straight-up macro game. This is theoretically also a good option, right? If you think you're the better player, which Namshar should think, playing the macro game makes a lot of sense. Man, that's actually a lot of work kills now in total, though, yeah. If you open up Void Ray first, 13 worker kills is very nice. Normally, the advantage of opening up with a Stargate like that is that you can grab yourself a 3rd base at like 3 minutes and 50 seconds. So that's the advantage you get. So basically, you don't rely on dealing damage. If you can take it, it's really nice. Very good situation here for Scarlett to be in once again. That's 5 gateways coming up. We see Charge coming up. We see an Immortal coming up. This is some impressive Protoss play. Like, this is the way we would see high-level Protoss players play in a regular game. Storm is coming up. Okay, we have the Infestation Pit, so I guess a Hive. Are we gonna go Hive straight into Lurker then, or...? I wouldn't even mind seeing Swarm Host, if I'm being brutally honest with you, but... I think Swarm Host may very well be something she's not too comfortable with. But I don't think Namshar's gonna do that. Nah, he's going straight into +2 melee. +1 melee Zerglings actually are way stronger. Like, you can see how much faster they kill one of those adepts, right? It's really good. Oh, Prism, Prism, Prism. Okay, that's what we want to see. That is very good here for Namshar. So, Scarlett is waiting right now for a push that's not coming. Which is unfortunate. Second Evo. I don't know what the infestation pit was for. That felt a little bit early to me. Maybe Namshar was thinking about getting a hive up just to potentially deal with that Skytles transition once again. Okay, 4th base comes up. +1 flyer attacks, so Scarlett definitely wants to transition towards Skytles once more. This is a very conventional game. Yep. Now, if I can be critical, Scarlett does have a gajillion energy here in these Nexi, okay? So, this is not what an actual, like, professional Protoss player should ever have. She's got 2 Nexi full of energy, so there's a lot of chrono boosts available. That shouldn't really be something that happens. Then again, I don't know how much Protoss, or how much Protoss she plays. A lot of the pro gamers like to warm up, for example, with their off races, so maybe she plays a little bit of Protoss every day. Okay, Zealot run by coming in this direction, but Banelings obviously are fantastic against Zealots. So that shouldn't really achieve much. Yeah. Namshar decides to even save the Banelings right now just because it's an inefficient trade. Hive. Spire. I mean, this should be Namshar's game. If Namshar loses this one, that would be rough. Because everything is going his way so far. It's not that Scarlett here is in a bad position. Obviously, making a mistake is easy. But this should be the type of game that Namshar plays every day, all day. You know what I mean? Especially, I think he plays a lot on the NA server. There's really not a whole lot of Zerg players on the NA server. There's a ton of Protoss. This should be... this should be the type of game he goes up against every single day. So there's the 2nd Stargate and the 3rd Stargate. Fleet Beacon once again comes up. So Scarlett, once again, taking a different approach than in the first game. But her approach is basically the same. It's try to not die. Or play like a little bit risky. And then eventually get to Skytles. Right? So in this case, we have 4 base Skytles, which is a little bit different. Okay. Good defense over here as well so far. Probes are already being split. Nice splits actually here, but still a lot of probes end up going down. Yeah. I mean, that was too many Banelings. Love that Namshar actually decides to just keep a couple of these Banelings around as well. It's annoying. Okay. Yeah, so straight up macro game. Namshar seems favored. I mean, right now is finally when we see carriers coming out. So carriers are nice and all, but Namshar playing very safe and sound, not really willing to take a whole lot of risks. He's even got Brute Lords right now coming. This is the first time I see Brute Lords in like 2 weeks. Don't do Brute Lords, okay? Friends don't make friends, or friends don't let friends make Brute Lords. But I think against a full-on ground army, they're definitely not a bad idea. If Protoss is stuck on a mid-game force for a little bit too much, this is one of the niche scenarios where I think that Brute Lords can actually be quite good. Okay, so they're gonna pop right around the same time as the first carriers. Surprise! That's 1 High Templar down. 2nd High Templar down. And... yeah, this has been Namshar all game, every day. Or all game, every day. All game long so far. Okay. Carriers are starting to get some work in. But Scarlett at this point is kind of broke, right? 4th base is going down. I hope we're going to go to game number 3 just because that way we can find out what Scarlett does then, right? So game number 1, very greedy play. A lot of corners being cut. Game number 2, we have Scarlett playing a straight up macro game. Not going for a push at all, really. Still dealing a lot of damage, though, with, like, you know, little Adept Shade buys here and there. But this is, yeah, a little bit tricky. Okay, so if Namshar wants to, yeah, if Namshar wants to play super safe, you just back off right now, right? Like, you don't really need to, like, overcommit here. You can just back off for a little bit, keep expending. Yeah, when you're ahead, getting more ahead is usually good advice. Okay, Zergling over there confirms what's going on. Overlord over here confirms what's going on. Okay, nicely done over there too. Yeah, other than the drone losses, this has been a clean game right here by our Zerg. Oh, okay, that Baneling hit was phenomenal. All of the High Templar here get sniped. 4th base will once more get denied. And GG is cold. All right. 2,000 atmospheres. Let's see, Scarlett. She tried something tricky in game number 1 and it worked. She tried playing something normal in game number 2 and it didn't really work, right? Just because the opponent outplayed her. Maybe that was her getting a little bit overconfident as well. It's like, wait a second, he just died to carriers. Let me see what happens if I play a normal game instead. You can see without the corners being cut, that type of game is much harder to play. I really feel like Namshar could be playing a little bit more aggressively though. For example, I would not mind seeing a 12 pool. So a 12 pool opener requires a very specific approach from a Protoss player to do, right? And like to defend properly. And I can imagine Scarlett may have played a couple games against a 12 pool, but probably not that many. Although I'm sure she's played a lot of 12 pools against Protoss, so that way she's still kind of like learned what Protoss is supposed to do. But at the very least, that's gonna put Zerg in the driver's seat. Apparently Namshar though, convinced that this is the best way to approach it. Pool first is actually quite clever too. Even though this wasn't a 12 pool, but like, I think it was like a 16 or a 17 pool or so. It basically allows you to be safe against stupid stuff. So say, for example, this would have been, I don't know, gateways over here and then, you know, or a pylon over here and then 4 gateways around it. That would have been quite easy to clean up with this sort of opener. It's not happening, right? But Namshar just playing safe. Standard opener once again here from Scarlett. Pylon low ground. Gateway low ground. 20 Nexus. 20 Cybercore. Gases in the main. Second pylon as well. I mean, you get the first gas a little bit sooner, obviously, but yeah. 6 Zerglings this time around. Maybe this is Namshar. This would be really cheeky. If Scarlett looks at this and she thinks this is a 12 pool, that would be a heavy, heavy misread. There's no way, right? Nah. She just... Okay. I think if she would have panicked here, she... Well... Yeah, it's a bit of panic. It's a little bit of panic. I count this as panic. That's definitely an overreaction, but a depth will be coming up. This wall over here... No, this wall is fine. Oh, no cancel! Ugh, no cancel. So that's already kind of paid for this push, right? Oh, wow. Really? That's not gonna happen, Namshar, is it? Is it? Yeah, it is. Oh, you know what? This is working out a whole lot better. Okay, wonderful beginning right here for Namshar. Killing a pylon. Killing a probe over here, too. I think one of these, yep, has a confirmed kill. And then obviously killing the gateway, too, right? Gateway pylon. And then also that one probe. The cost of 4 Zerglings. Very nice. Stargate opener once again. Gets scouted right away as well by Namshar. Third hatch from the Zerg. Creep Tumor is a bit late. Third Queen obviously is a bit late here as well. Just kind of what happens with these sort of openers. Prioritizing workers makes a lot of sense. Okay, decides to go back in right now to confirm if it's a Void Ray first or an Oracle. Oh. I accidentally pressed the back button. Professional caster alert. Anyways, Overlord goes in right now and confirms whether or not it's a... Is that Tasteless? I think I heard Tasteless right there. I think that's the Artosis and Tasteless announcer pack. Everyone knows the Loco announcer pack is the one to play with. Come on, Namshar. Ugh. Anyways, he scouts right now as well that it is going to be a Void Ray start right here. From Scarlett. Is it going to be a second Void Ray? Nope, it's going to be an Oracle. Which Namshar also sees. So this is nice. Burrow. Very quick. Okay, never mind. Misclick. Very quick misclick. Burrow started up there for a second, but it was instantly cancelled. Spore crawlers come up. Important. You do need a spore over here too, I guess. Oracle not likely to jump straight into the natural expansion, but... Zergling Scout needs to go on over to the third base here soon. So this should be a Zergling Scout right now. The reason for it is that this was a 420 Nexus rather than a 350 Nexus. So this is a half minute later. The reason why it's a half minute later is because of the Twilight Council. Scarlett decided to spend resources right here on the Twilight Council, which at this point Namshar is not going to be able to figure out anymore. That's a little risky. I would love to see a Zergling going across the map.
A new queen has emerged.
Yeah, that's definitely the Tasteless and Artosis announcer pick. Okay, well, it's going to be Glaives here as a follow-up. So once again, a bit of a trick here from Scarlett. Okay, good recall over there as well, preserving those adepts. Finally, now the links go across, but now, like, what do you see as a Zerg player at this point? Maybe you can kind of judge the timing of this Nexus. Personally, I don't judge anything like that. Maybe Namshar does, though. Maybe he sees right now, okay, Nexus is finishing up at 5:30. This is, you know, but I don't know. I don't know if that's actually something people do. Double Stargate. So once again, we have a version of the same build that we saw in game number 1, just in a different order. The queens are coming in for a push. This is not good. This is not good for Namshar. Yeah. Glaives is not done yet, though. Well, maybe this can work out. In my mind, though, this doesn't seem to be too great. Resonating Glaives is surprisingly strong against these roach bushes. How do I know? That will remain a secret. Oh, good bait right there by Scarlett. Very nice bait. No, I don't think you commit. Do you? Oh my god, really? Target firing down the queens one at a time. Void Ray comes in from the back as well. More Void Rays are being produced, and I guess once the queens are gone, they can clean everything else up. Assuming the Zerglings don't just run into the natural expansion, this should be A-okay right now for the Protoss player. Let's see, though, exactly what the follow-up is going to be. Okay, well, this is exactly what I think you want to prevent. +1 flyer attacks is coming up as well for the Protoss air units. Okay, it's going to be temporarily halted, I guess, as it loses power, or pylon power. There we go. It's a bit of a tongue twister. Triple Stargate gets spotted right away. Pylon here gets target fired down as well, though a new pylon should come up very quickly after this. I would love to see a couple of units moving on over to the third base as well, but I guess Namshar is making the assumption there's already going to be some static defense over there. A lot of very low HP units, but you know what? 10 workers in total? Really? Well, we're not done yet, but there's a photon cannon over here now. So this is not... you know what? That was actually pretty good. I think that was actually pretty good for Scarlett. Fleet Beacon immediately as a follow-up, because of course. Did we see a single air unit going down? Okay, only the Oracle. Namshar on the back of this, though, should be droning. Yeah, Lair comes up. Should just... There you go. 13 workers right now. Should just be droning. Get that 3-base saturation as quickly as possible. Start thinking about a 4th base as well. Although it's going to be difficult to keep it alive against Void Ray armies. Okay, well, there it is. Here come the adepts. Oh, sorry. Here come the adepts. Trying to get a little bit of work done. Target firing down to queens. Losing queens here is rough. The reason why it's rough is because counterattacks here from Zerg are always going to be Zerg, or is always going to be queen-based, right? So if Namshar wanted to go for a push once again, he'd have to bring the queens, and losing like another 2 or 3 there, not ideal. All right, so there's the Infestation Pit going down. Infestation Pit is a big indicator that this is going to be some macro Zerg once again. No transition here anytime soon. Flux Veins, about halfway done. Chrono boost on that. Interestingly enough, she's not even adding... Okay, I was going to say, she's not even adding on charge. But right as I said that, she did. We didn't see that in game number 1 either, so I thought maybe that's what you wanted, but may have been a misplay. Lasers! Base is gone. Leftover adepts decide to commit once more, try to get something done, but they're gonna get surrounded. These are just a means to an end. I'm sorry, adepts. Scarlett doesn't need you anymore. It's the time of the flying units. Unless you're a wizard and you can cast spells. She doesn't care about you anymore if you walk on the ground. It sucks. Well, I guess actually High Templar are technically air units, right? Because they float. Whoa! That just blew my own mind. People always say Skytles is only Void Rays and like things that come out of Stargate units. But technically speaking, High Templar float, right? Ooh, she's going for the mothership. Okay. Yeah, look at the High Templar, right? Where's the High Templar coming? Where are they? Look! They don't actually hit the ground. So they... Are High Templar Skytles units? Because they float. They have like little magical capes. Amazing. Blowing my own mind here. Lasers, pretty good. Lasers are pretty good. A couple of Void Rays randomly get rallied in from another location on the map. I feel like I've seen this game before. Right? I feel like I've seen this before, earlier today. Couple of deviations here and there. Less carriers, more Void Rays. Mama Ship's core, or Mama Ship here added into the mix as well. Quicker +1 Carapace, which I also really do like. That helps a lot against those upgraded interceptor ships especially. So, all the roads lead to Skytles, right? I believe that's how the saying goes. All roads lead to Skytles. Scarlett has once again gotten here. And this time around, I wouldn't say she's behind. If you compare it to game number 2, where, you know... I mean, she wasn't really behind, but that was a tough game. That was just a straight up game. In this case, yeah, Scarlett is ahead when it comes to the supply count. She did actually warp in more adepts, which is a little bit odd. I guess they're pretty good against Hydra-based armies, yeah. There's not really a whole lot of lurkers yet, as in, like, none. Okay, a couple are coming up. This is a scary force. There's, like, no detection here either, other than one Spore Crawler. Okay, let's see. Storm goes down right here. This is a very difficult choke point to actually fight in. Lurkers are finally done, so the High Templar have to back up. Good control right there by Scarlett. Storms are coming up at the appropriate moments, and once the detection is gone, honestly, this is really difficult. There's a couple of Vipers now out too, but they don't have energy yet, so she decides to dive deep and try to maybe catch some of those as well. Yep, the Void Rays are still hunting, but they see a lot of other juicy targets on the way there. Are there just too many Void Rays available right now? I mean, there's still 19 Hydras just about to pop. Zerg Natural is completely overrun. Scarlett thinks she's playing Zerg all of a sudden once again as she dives into the natural expansion as it is exposed. Normally a risky move, but if you can kill some of the big, like the big tech structures, right? Like for example, the Lurker Den, like for example the Hive, that's pretty good. Hydra Den is gone as well, so hello, hello, hello. There's no anti-air. I mean, other than the Hydras that are available right now, there's no anti-air. Scarlett doesn't know that, though. Ooh, Mama Ship core. Running away. Or I guess it's... Oh, no. It's gonna go down. I guess it's not a Mama Ship core anymore, right? Just a Mama Ship. Oh, there's an abduction. Nice abduction. There's a couple of lurkers on the other side of the map trying to get some work done, but they're not really achieving that much. Oh my god, Scarlett. Really? If we look at this map right now, objectively, right? The entire bottom horizontal line is all frickin' Protoss. Scarlett is ahead in upgrades. She's ahead in eco. She's ahead in army. Those are like the 3 pillars of StarCraft, right? What a dirty game. What a nasty one. As a Zerg player, this kind of hurts me, you know, a little. Because I can almost imagine the frustration right now for Namshar. Loses 2 Hydra Dens here as well, by the way, so like... Yeah, she just sends units to their graves right now, but it worked out. Ay, 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 ay. Scarlett obtains the victory over Namshar, playing her off race with a 2-1 advantage. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, hit that like button down below. If you want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get notified as soon as future videos go live. For now, though, thanks for watching. Have an awesome day. Don't forget to smile, and I'll see you once again in the next one.